It was great. It was great. It was cool to see all the support, obviously, and helping out the kids and getting them to experience something like this. Obviously, something when I was young I would have loved. So it's cool to be able to give back. For that.
And how's this week been like for you? I feel like I think you played a total of 30 NBA minutes as of 3 days ago, and now you have played really considerable minutes. What's it been like just on an emotional level, and just probably a lot more attention, a lot of people kind of knowing your name, learning about your game?
Yeah, it's great. Especially with coming in the middle of last year. It's cool to be able to kind of establish myself a little bit here, and but the big thing is like we've been preaching, just guys staying ready and being ready to go whenever we got injuries or people are out that day and stuff like that. So it's awesome opportunity. I'm looking to continue to build off it, but just do whatever I can to help the team whenever that may need be. So it's great.
On that point of like fans getting more familiar with you, kind of getting familiar with you. Are you like on social media? Are you kind of seeing and hearing from more friends and family over the last couple of days? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of people reaching out, which has been awesome. A lot of friends and family and stuff. Just to see not just main Celtics stuff, but also Boston stuff is really cool. So it's been a great few days, and like I said, you just it's just kind of looking to build off it and keep winning games and helping the team whatever that may look like on any given night. So.
Being even part of an event like this, like just being around Boston the last couple of days, what's that like? Obviously, you get to be with Jordan and Emi for this, and just a little more familiar with some of the younger fans here. Like, what's that like? Just being around the team and the building and all that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great. It's really cool to be able to see. Like I said, I've done some things like this in Maine, but to do it down here is great. And just help, like I said, helping all the younger kids and having them get these cool experiences is great. Because I know as a kid, I loved doing stuff like this. Did some stuff back home where I was from like this, and so it's cool to be able to show them kind of a path where they can where you can hopefully make an impact in a good way in their life.
Emi won that shooting competition. It looks like you were trying to call for a false start on that play. What'd you see out there?
Yeah, very questionable. I wish we had a review system accessible, maybe a challenge or something. But yeah, it was great. Yeah, he beat my team by 1 point, so it was very controversial.
You mentioned you got a chance to do some stuff like this in Maine. What's it been like, sort of going back and forth? Obviously, you were there a lot last year, but this year, like coming here and playing a lot versus spending that time in Maine early in the season. Like, what's the sort of difference between the two organizations, even though I know Tyler and Joe both said like you like to keep it as one organization? Like, what are the differences between playing there?
Yeah, obviously a ton of continuity from the top down, but the biggest difference obviously is your role on any given day. It's when I'm there, I'm a little bit more of a primary ball handler, and I'm a little more relied upon to do a lot more things. And when I'm here, obviously more of a complementary role and helping out the guys and whatever I can. Last night I really tried to rebound the ball and help and play defense in that end, and to be able to just knock down open shots, that's a big thing. So a lot of continuity from both, but just the roles obviously are tremendously different. But the biggest thing is the travel back and forth is obviously a lot, but it's great. It's fortunate, a good problem to have. So I've been enjoying every second I have down here.
And this is your first full year in Boston. What do you like about the city so far? I mean, Portland too. Like, new to the area. Like, what are your first impressions and everything going on?
Food's great. Especially obviously last year I spent a little more time in Portland, but I heard the food scene is great up here in Boston and in Portland, and it is totally delivered. So it's been great.
How do you look back at that? Obviously, you got to play Miami yesterday. That's where you started your career briefly. How do you look back on that? I know Smo said last night that they liked you and they would have loved to have had you there, but there's only so many two-way spots and all that. How do you look back a year ago at signing with Boston and leaving that?
Yeah, it's awesome. I appreciate my whole experience in Miami from summer league to preseason. I learned a ton. The biggest thing being you got to shoot open shots right when you're open. You can't turn any down. And I was chatting with one of the staff members on Miami about that. So yeah, it's a big thing. I learned a ton from the 4 or 5 months I was with the organization, and really helped me kind of carve a role out here and my development overall. So I appreciate all the help they've helped, and my stepping stone with that for my career, and then carrying into here, it's been just incredible. So.
Looked like you were talking to the bench. Did you stick your tongue out at the heap?
No,
There's a picture on Twitter.
I think that I saw. I think that might have just been like accidental. That wasn't like a stick. No, yeah, I think it was just that was maybe like maybe some chap lips or something like that. So.
Were you talking to the bench? It looked like you gave him a look after it.
No, it was more. I know obviously the staff and stuff like that. Nothing ill intended. Just all in good fun.